So I want to introduce all of our speakers just quickly here. The first speaker will be Tosh Mitchell, and she's currently with My Outdoors Colorado. She's also been with Earth Force and Live Well Share, and so she has a lot of years of experience working with youth and involving youth in leadership positions, and so she's here to share her expertise with us today. And then we have two awesome youth here, Aaliyah Farhad and Miriam Sharif, who are going to be speaking a little bit later, and they were really instrumental in coming up with this webinar. We met a few weeks back, and they gave us the talking points and organized them into slides, and so we're really trying to kind of walk the walk with this presentation today.
So the first thing that I would like to present is that Youth Voice is referring to the attitudes, the opinions, perspectives, ideas, experiences, knowledge, actions of young people. And sometimes we find that already young people have organized themselves into a collective body through ways that we certainly weren't organizing in, like social media and such. So they're using technology, verbal, written, and visual ways or means to do that. It often looks like these days it's happening through social media as a vehicle. Youth Voice is a powerful tool, and I think that it is critical for meaningfully engaging young people so that they can contribute in the environmental education field. I just want to briefly differentiate between youth involvement and youth driven from my own perspective. So youth involvement usually has an adult directed or adult initiated activity. It could be any level of engagement for youth participation. I don't know that it is necessarily youth engagement, but what happens oftentimes in youth involvement is that adults have already created an opportunity for young people to contribute or participate, but it's limited. For instance, young people haven't had an opportunity to plan, help create the agenda, think about any of the logistical pieces, really identify what the goals and outcomes for that activity or campaign or initiative are. And so they're merely kind of fitting into a space that adults have created for them. And sometimes, you know, I think youth involvement is well intended. However, I don't know that it gives to a meaningful experience or level of engagement for young people. On the other hand, youth-driven opportunities really allow youth and adults to partner in a meaningful way, and for adults to give appropriate opportunities to young people or support them in appropriate ways. What I'm not saying is that we hand everything over to youth as adults and say, okay, go do this, go run with it, but that we create more scaffolded opportunities for young people to really build their confidence and to grow and their leadership to emerge. So I've introduced the youth-adult partnerships phrase or language to really get at a vehicle for how we get young people to drive work and how we empower them adequately. Usually in these youth-adult partnerships, we, who I refer to as us to old people sometimes, and some folks get offended, but really what we're doing is, what we should be doing is being a secondary person or playing a secondary role so that young people are building their own capacities. I want to ask what our young people here think about that.
I
I think it's good, and at the same time, I think that it is important for adults to give us the materials and let us go at it. So not all the time, but like you said, that is like a confidence booster, and it also shows that the adults think we can do it. So sometimes at some points just giving us what we need and telling us what the goal is and then being there for assistance is almost even better than walking us through each step for the confidence, like you said, and then also just knowing that we can do it ourselves. It's that we don't necessarily always have opportunity, so it's just nice to have that sometimes.
I agree with you.
So scratch that 50-50 stuff. Just kidding. I'm going to go on to the next slide. I want to make sure that we have enough time here. I wanted to throw in the cycle of engagement because as I was preparing for this webinar, I talked about to have been directly and in youth and organizations, so they're doing direct service with youth, and just kind of ask them, what are your top 3 best practices around youth and so many of these phrases kept popping up. And then as I was looking through the slide that Miriam and Aaliyah had prepared, these listens stuck out to me. Not only because it's capitalized, as you will see, it's in all caps, but I think even with my own experiences as a parent and as a direct youth service provider, listen is almost the most critical piece. You know, we frame it as communication, and we talk about the importance of kind of that soft skill in our everyday world and in the context of school. But I think that piece cannot be overstated. And going back to my point that it's not enough to simply youth, but that we actually want to engage them, and Youth Voice allows us to do that. And so I thought this visual might be a good way to start sharing, have conversations with other folks in our communities and in our organizations about how we really can engage young people in some of our environmental education work. So listen is first, if you were wondering where we start. And after we listen, we validate young people. It felt like what Aaliyah just shared with us about validation. So we give young people a task because we've listened to them, or we explain to them what the outcomes are. We give them the materials and tools they need, and we validate our trust in the fact that we want to empower them and build their capacity by kind of letting loose the reins. Authorize. I know no matter what project I've ever worked on with young people, they want to know that they have the power or the authority to do something that is related to their project or their initiative, their event. We allow them to act, and then reflection becomes very important for helping young people arrive at some of the outcomes, intended outcomes. And also, I think, going back to listen, as our young people are reflecting, listening becomes even more important so that we can aim for continuous improvement. Any input, interjection?
No interjection. I really like that reflection part because I never thought of that. So like we do all the time when we do that.
I also listen part, you know, 'cause as youth, we have all these great ideas, and we just really want somebody to listen to us and to help us get our ideas turned into projects. So listen is a really huge step in anything.
And I might add a hard step sometimes